There is a huge burnished metal door erected by the first that is heavy as sin, 3 times the height of a man and half that distance in width. It is a full cubit thick and bears a head-size ring of brass, a complicated pressure plate lock, and an inscription that reads roughly, "Go away! This is not a place to be. If you try to enter here, you will fail and also be cursed. If somehow you succeed, then do not complain that you entered unwarned, nor bother us with your deathbed prayers. Signed, The Gods." Welcome to my channel. I focus on tabletop role-playing games, video games, and science fiction. The party makes its way back to the central chamber and the massive open space that is the central chamber. They continue down the 15-degree slope to the next opening on the right. As openings go, this one is fairly narrow in Hellwell. It is only 11 feet wide. So the party goes through the opening on the right, and this branches out in several different directions. And the scale of this is fairly large. So at this point, I'm going to just show you the scale compared to a fireball. So if I put a fireball into this passageway, this doesn't even fill one of the hexes inside the area. A fireball is smaller than one of these hexes, and that's because the hexes are 50 feet across, and a fireball has a diameter of 40 feet or a radius of 20 feet. So a fireball won't even fill one of these hexes. So just to give you an idea of the scope. So the party continues down the passageway to the right. The passageway to the right wanders a bit. There's a lot of clutter around the hallway. They find some pieces of rope that are old and rotted, and they find a broken warhammer, and they continue on till they get about halfway down this passageway. And stretched across the passageway from the left to the right is a rope. And in the center of the rope is a very large knot, almost 2 feet in diameter, made of the rope. There's this large, intricate knot. So the rope is attached to the walls by iron spikes being driven into the rock of the wall on each side, and then the rope attached to it. So the party has several options. They could crawl under the rope, they could jump over the rope. The rope is at the ends is about 3 feet above the ground, but it droops down to about 2 feet. But then you have this large knot, which is just barely not touching the ground, this large knot, and they can ignore it or they can do whatever they want. If the party decides to take the rope, they can, it's easily to untie at the edges, but then you've got this large knot. When I designed this part, I had just read Clive Barker's Books of Blood. And in the Books of Blood, one of the stories was called The Inhuman Condition. This is an interesting story for you to look up and find. It's in the Books of Blood, and the idea is that it's a set of knots, and when you undo the knot, it releases a demon. And that's what's trapped inside this knot, is a demon that's trapped inside there. So they can decide what to do with it or ignore it and continue on down the passageway into room H. Room H is roughly triangular. It's not, that's the best description you have for it. Against the far wall, as they come in, the party sees some sort of structure. And as they approach, they make out it looks like a guillotine. And they come up to the guillotine, and beside the guillotine are a series of 13 barrels, large, about 4 foot high, 3 foot wide at the widest part, barrels with lids on them. The guillotine is a little unusual. You notice that unlike a normal guillotine, which is designed for, with the holding block, I guess is what it's called, where you put the head through and you lock the person down into the guillotine, that has one hole. This is designed for small, it has 2 holes that are smaller. This looks like it's designed to chop off feet. So the party looks at this, and below the holding block is this large blood-stained basket. It's just there. There's nothing in the basket. But then you have the 13 large barrels. And if the party comes up and examines one of the barrels, when they remove the lid, this horrible, foul-smelling odor emanates, seeming to almost permeate the entire room with this awful smell of chemical and death. This is an embalming fluid that's in there. And in each of the 13 barrels, suspended in the barrel from a piece of string that's tied to the edge of the barrel down in, holding into the embalming fluid, is a hobbit's foot that's been preserved. If the party takes one of the hobbit's feet out and lets it dry, it will be preserved forever. And the owner of the hobbit's foot receives an interesting property. You acquire the hobbit's luck, which I'll leave to you to look up in the player's handbook. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you. I look forward to learning what you think about this video. Let me know in the comments below. I appreciate all your comments. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, give me a thumbs down. I appreciate both forms of feedback. If you're new here and would like to subscribe, you can click on the icon on the left. If you're interested, there's more content on the right.